there, Joy here. I'm, oh, wait a second. I think I need to move that back a little. Let's try that. Does that work? Can you see? Aside from my head. There, how's that? There, okay. So today's post is all about, or today's video I should say, is all about Halloween. I love Halloween, I really, really, really do. And so I also love making cool crafts to decorate for Halloween, because I love it, but I don't want to spend a fortune on it. And although I do buy things from the store, I try to buy the expensive things at the end of the year on discount and save them for the next year. So eventually I build up a pile of stuff. And I'm starting again from scratch because mine seems to have disappeared in my move somewhere along the way. So what I'll do is at the end of the season, don't wait till the day after Halloween because everything then is Christmas. So, but at the end of the season, you can go through and find out if there's any like motion figure action things, you know, that are on discount that you can buy. And then the next year you've got a kit going after a few years. Right now I'm doing kind of a couple of things. The first one that I saw a post on Pinterest. And in the post they were making silhouettes to put in the front window so that when your lights are on and it's dark outside on Halloween night, all you're seeing is the outline of these silhouettes with the light shining through it. And so what they did is they started with a piece of construction paper. The one I saw on Pinterest was actually quite large. They were doing like large monster-sized things in their window. But they had one big window, and I have a large window with mullions. And the mullions are yay big. There's a little white framework in between the glass panes to make it look like smaller windows. And so I put one of these up to the mullion to see whether or not they were the same size. It's not, but it's close. So what I'm going to do, or what I have done, and I'll show you, is I've got my scissors, I've got my pencil. The first time around I used my white pencil crayon so it would show up better, but unfortunately I can't find it. So I'm using a regular pencil and the shine will be visible. So I'm basically just going to draw some sort of funky creature, and you don't have to get detailed because it's a silhouette. So it's just going to be the outline. And what I'm doing with this one is I'm kind of giving him a big collar like Dracula would have. And then I'm going to give him a little neck. And I'm just going to do a head like so. So it's pretty simple. I don't know if you can see it. And then I'm going to give him some creepy eyeballs. And the parts that I cut out are what's going to show. Just the parts that I cut out. Because the rest, of course, is black. So you're just going to see the light that shines through. And so what I've done is I've given him, I don't know if you can see the shine from my pencil, I've given him some eyeballs. I've made a line, a V-shaped line at the top, and that's going to be like Dracula's hairline. And then I've given him a little mouth. And so basically, I'm just going to cut out, I know I'm talking really fast, I'm sorry. I'm trying to make my videos a little shorter. Chris, God love him, keeps telling me that nobody's going to want to watch a video of me rambling on for 45 minutes on how to do something. He could be right. Maybe he's right. So I'm trying to make them a little bit more user-friendly by not making them quite so long. Hence the talk fast thing. I'm not sure I can get through without talking at all. So I'm just going to talk faster. Okay, so outline's done. Now I've got my scissors. They're not very small. But I also have my X-Acto knife. And I for the first ones, I didn't dig out the X-Acto knife because it was buried downstairs in my craft room. I just basically got out a smaller pair of scissors for the little eyes and things like that. But this time, I lied. Oh, there it is. This time I'm going to dig out my X-Acto knife. And I'm just going to flip over my handy-dandy placemat. As you can see, I use it for all sorts of things. It's got holes and wax and all sorts of goodies on it. But I'm just going to cut out the smaller parts with the X-Acto knife. And since I had 16 mullion sections in the center part, like I have there's side panels on the window, but I'm not going to bother doing a face or a monster for each hole, because that would just be ridiculous. So I did 16 of them to fit in the 16 mullions of the large center part of my window, if that makes any sense. So I think by the time I get done, if you've ever watched the TV show Hollywood Squares, I think it's going to look kind of like Hollywood Squares of monsters. It's going to be like a gallery of all these different monster thingies looking out at people from the window. That's the plan. I'll try after Halloween, after I get all this done, I will try to put some photos on to my actual blog so you can see what it looks like. If you're not on my blog already and you're just looking at this on YouTube, I do have a blog on the go, and I've put some of this in writing with photos for the blog. And that is at, I call it Adventures in Menopause. I thought that was funny. But the blog address is actually survivinglifeover40.com, so you can find it on there. Okay, so this is my little Dracula dude. There's not much to him, but I think when the light shines through from behind him, it will look really cool, because his eyeballs, as you can see the light through behind me, his eyeballs and mouth and everything should show through. So that was how I did it. I've got a couple example of other ones I did, which I think are pretty cool. I'll try to let the light shine through them from behind me. This is a 3-eyeballed monster with little hands. And things like that. I've got, like I said, I made 16 of them. This guy is going to be interesting to stick on my window. He's a snake. But basically, I kind of ran out of ideas along the way, so this guy kind of looks like a Christmas tree, but coming up with 16 weird monster silhouettes wasn't that easy. It's as easy as I thought. This guy's funny. He's kind of like the Martians in Toy Story. So anyways, Frankenstein. Frankenstein. You can see the light shining through. So that was my one idea. So this is a really cheap, easy way, because this package of construction paper was just sitting downstairs in my craft room. So it didn't really cost me anything to do it. It took a little time and effort to sit down. I sat in front of the TV one day for an hour and I cut out monsters. Ta-da! So now I'm going to have a really cool looking front window. So my next idea, I'm going to show you something real. That's about it. Huh. I bought, one second, at the dollar store, I bought some really cool things. And I want to show it to you. I'm not going to use it this year. I want to save this for next year, because I've got a bunch of stuff on the go for this year. And I got these at the dollar store, if you see those. And they're just fun foam kind of stuff. They're not very thick. And there's 20 of them in here. And I got it for $1.25. And since I happen to have this container of glow-in-the-dark paint, which I bought at the dollar store years ago, it actually works fairly well. I mean, it has to be in the light for a while for it to soak up some glow. But I've got this dollar store glow-in-the-dark paint. So next year my plan is to cover these with the glow-in-the-dark paint and string them together. I mean, I could just, one at a time hang them from the tree, but I think it'd be nice to kind of string them along the front of the house. A whole bunch of little ghosty skulls. So I wanted to show that to you because it's a quick and easy thing to do, but I'm not going to do it today because I'm saving that for next year. What I am doing this year, also really cheap and easy, is I'm saving up my toilet paper rolls. So obviously this costs nothing, and they're going to be around the house anyway. The bigger your family is, the more you're going to get. So what I'm doing with these, this is the expense of this whole decoration part of it, is I found these little, they're supposed to hang off your kid's necklace. So they glow in the dark so the cars and stuff can see them. But I like them because they're really small, so I think it's going to work great. As far as I can tell, they're maybe an inch long. And there is 6 of them in this package for $2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to draw some eyeballs on it. And it can be really quick and easy eyeballs. So I'm going to do 2 circles. And then I'm going to do this. Alright, so this is going to be my, let me see that, my eyeballs. And again, I'm going to use my handy dandy X-Acto blade. Now, I don't have a hedge, so mine are going to go into plants in my garden. I'm going to stick them in the trees. I'm just any place where there's some place that something could be hiding, and where I can hide this, I'm going to stick a toilet paper roll. I have 6 or 7 of them now done. Obviously, as I get my toilet paper emptied, I'll have more. So you cut out the little pieces, and I just like the idea of having a little glowing spot in the center. So that's what I drew. And, oops. And so when this is done, I'm going to put one of those little glowy things in it. And so if it's sitting in the bushes, it should look like a pair of little glowing eyeballs peeking out at you from the bush. Because the only light that's going to come through the toilet paper roll is where I've cut it out. If that makes any sense. So, that should be quick and easy too. So, here's my eyeballs. I've cut them out. I've cut the little hole down here. So when the light glows through it, it should look just like little eyeballs. And like I say, I'm going to hide this in the shrubbery, so the only thing showing is the glowing little eyeballs. And it should be just cool little eyeballs everywhere. I took a picture of a few of these on the website, on my actual blog post. What I did is I went into my closet, which is nice and dark, and I put a little flameless candle thing inside each one to take pictures so I could show what they're going to look like without having to go outside and shove them in my trees and then wait until it gets dark. So this is idea number 2 that's quick and easy. And again, this costs nothing, this costs $2. So I can get like 6 of them out of this for $2. I think that's a pretty good deal. The next idea is kind of ongoing. I'm not sure how it's going to work. This is an experimental idea. What I want to do, cover my blade up so I don't slice myself, is I have balloons that I got from the dollar store. And my scissors, I need new craft scissors, aren't very good. So I wanted to get black. They didn't have black. It looks black, but it says on the package that when you blow it up, it's actually violet. I think that would be okay. And then I got some crepe paper streamers. Remember these things from when you were a kid and you're just doing school stuff. These are like crepe paper streamers. And my plan here is that if I take 2 of these and I blow them up, one bigger than the other, so I can blow this guy up to be a body or a head, whichever. I did it again. I always forget some important part before I sit down. And I blow the other one up. I want it to be smaller. And so these are going to be put together, and I haven't figured out quite how to do that yet. I have zip ties or tape or something like that. And the idea here is I'm going to join them together like that. Maybe I can tie them together. I don't know. One way or another, I'm going to join these things together. I have a zip tie here. Maybe that'll be the easiest way, because then I can also use it to hang it up. Let's see. Now the plan is you overlap the ends of the 2, like so, and join them together. So now I have my spider body. Now what I want to do here is, and I've got this little bowl, I always use my little Tupperwares for paint, just because that way I can't get it anywhere really. So I'm going to paint little eyeballs on this with my glow-in-the-dark paint. Almost poked my balloon. And then, I think I might, I hadn't really thought of it before, but now that I'm looking at it, I think I might paint a little something on his back. Because from what I understand anyways, if you are a poisonous type of spider, that probably wasn't very smart. If you're a poisonous type of spider, you'll be warning other people that you're poisonous with your bright colored stuff. This glow-in-the-dark paint is much different than the last stuff I bought. This is like gel almost. I don't know how it's going to work. But basically, I just want to paint some eyeballs on here with this glow-in-the-dark paint goo. This is really weird. Glow-in-the-dark paint works on almost any surface, except that maybe I have to stir it. Perhaps I have to stir it. Recharge painted items by exposing them. Painted items should be dry for 3 days and be thinned with water. I'm going to give it a shake and see if that helps it, because it's coming out like a gel. I don't understand why that is exactly, but it doesn't work like so. It didn't help put that back in there. And I might put a little bit in my bowl. So as you can see, it's not going very well. Last year when I bought this stuff, it was great. Sorry, a couple years ago, I guess it was. So I think I'm going to put a little bit in my paint jar. It's kind of gloopy, and add a bit of water to it. See, it's making it easier. If it doesn't work, I will have to find some other way to do this. I don't really need eyeballs and stuff. I just kind of thought it would be cool to have some eyeballs. I don't think my funky paint's gonna work. So, this is the joy of fly by the seat of your pants crafting. I'm gonna move on to the next step because I don't want to fart around with this when I'm trying to show you. I'd rather just keep my video short, haha, which never works. I'm still trying though. So what I need to do is find the end of this thing. And the crepe paper streamer is going to be legs. That's the plan. And so what I want to do is I want to get some of these. I want to basically, I think, have 3 long ones. And then I'm going to see whether or not I can tie them around the middle body part. Because that would be, I think, the easiest way to go, is if I can just tie the blooming things on. And then the plan in the end is to spread out the legs and stick the legs out from the body so that it looks realistic. If I manage this correctly, I'm going to stick them on my walls along the front of the house. If I can figure out how to hook them to the brick. And that way it looks kind of like, oh, I didn't bring it in. It looks kind of like the spiders are crawling up my wall. Because I also bought at the dollar store glow-in-the-dark silly string. And I want to spray the silly string around my front door area to make it kind of look like spider web. So these are the spiders that are going to be in the spider web. Okay, so if I take the center of each one of these, like so, I'm going to try and see if I can tie it around my body. It all depends on whether or not this crepe paper is strong enough for me to pull it tight when I tie it. If it is, perfect. If not, I may have to tape the legs. don't slide very well, I can tell you that. Okay. Yeah, okay. So, here's my spider, who eventually will have eyeballs, and hopefully some sort of funky pattern down his back. And I'm going to stick him to the wall, and then I'm going to take each one of the legs and stick them out like so. So, and that way, it should look like, oh, where's my other leg? 4 on one side, 3 on the other. How on earth did I manage 4 on one side and 3 on the other? I don't know. Anyways, he's going to have 3 legs on each side. So I have, in this package of balloons that I bought, I got 2 of these great big things. I have plenty of that. And the balloons came with 10. Now that I've wasted 2 to show you, I'm probably going to end up with 4. Unless, of course, this lasts until then. I doubt it. It'll probably deflate. I'm going to end up with 4 big spiders stuck to my wall. I think that's going to look pretty cool. So this is plan number 3. We've got these guys, and we've got the eyeballs in the bushes, and we're going to have spiders with silly string hanging on the walls. The next idea is kind of similar. And again, it involved this, so I'm a little disappointed in this. Well, a little disappointed. So the next one, though, I'm not going to put it together yet. But I am going to explain to you what the plan is, because this is going to take some time. And again, I'm trying to keep the video short. So the plan here is to blow up the white balloons. Again, I got 10 balloons for $1.25. And I'm going to hang them so that obviously the top of the balloon is up. So I'm going to tie a string to the tied part of the balloon and hang it. And if this was to work, I would be painting glow-in-the-dark eyeballs on the balloon. And I've got the black paint because I think when I do a glow-in-the-dark eyeball, I want to outline it in black to make sure that it's got some sort of definition to it. And then I'm going to take all these things, I won't open it right now, I'll show you with the black. And I'm going to take pieces of it with ragged ends, and I'm going to overlap them. So I'm going to get a bunch of pieces, I'm going to overlap them, and I'm going to glue just the top part along the edges, so that in the end I end up with like a sheet of white crepe paper that's attached at the top, but loose and kind of ragged looking at the bottom. And the plan is to wrap that around the balloon, and then I don't know if I can, because I have a hot glue. I don't think I can hot glue the balloon without popping it. So I'm going to wrap it around so that it fits around the balloon, glue the ends to overlap. So I should be able to slide it over the balloon, and then I'm just going to gather the top together. Maybe put an elastic or something around it, just so that it's all gathered up, and that way it's draped over the balloon with dangling little roughly bits underneath. I hope, if I get some glow-in-the-dark paint that works right, or I can figure out what to do with that one, I hope that the glow-in-the-dark paint eyeballs will show through the crepe paper, because it's pretty thin. You can see light through it. So I'm hoping that's how it will work. If it doesn't work, my backup plan is that I have some really cheap dollar store masks, little white masks, and I can pop the mask over top of the balloon face. And I don't think in the dark at night you're going to be able to tell that it's a mask over top. It's just going to look like funky faces floating with little drapey things underneath, so like ghosts. So that's my plan. I do have one more plan I want to tell you about. I haven't tried it yet. It's going to be an experiment. I probably have time to do it right now. One sec. It's okay, Toby, it's okay. Dog's getting all excited because I got up and ran. So here's what's going to involve, or what's going to be involved in this part of my plan. Coat hanger, nice and easy, everybody's got one. This came from the dollar store as well. It's actually quite a nice little sheer curtain. So I'm going to try and do it in a way that I don't have to cut this. We'll see. And the idea here is, I actually got this for like $3, and I used it at my wedding because I didn't have a tablecloth that was the right size for the little table we used at the signing, at the ceremony. And so I've got this sheer curtain panel, and I folded it in half and I used it and decorated it up. So my plan here is that since this is all nice and drapey and light and would look very ghosty, my dog is whining in the background because he wants to go outside. 1 second, I'll put him out, otherwise we'll have to hear him. Okay, dog, come on. You scratch, come on. 2 minutes from now, he's going to walk back in. So I want to drape this over this to make a ghost. And I want to make it hang. So I'm hoping that I might have to put a little hole in it. I don't want to cut it, it's kind of nice, but I'm never going to use it again. It only cost me $2. So the plan though is that I want to make this into a framework that will look ghosty-ish. So I want to bend it, and I want to have enough. Yeah, I guess that's better. The rounded top part is going to be the head. And if I can get it right, I want to have little kind of arms. You can see that. I don't have to worry about the bottom part because it's going to be under the draped section of the curtain. I want to try and get at least enough of a shape here that when you drape it over, you can see this, when you drape it over, it'll hang like a ghost. See? So I think I am going to have to actually cut, but I can probably get 2 or 3 out of this sheet because it's quite long. So if I cut it like 1/3 of the way, I don't want to worry about it being nice because I want it to look ragged. I'm going to get my better scissors for this. Figure out where to put them. My handy dandy, these suckers go through everything scissors. And so I'm going to cut it about that big, I think. And since these scissors go through anything, I'm just going to fold it over. I can still see the fold lines, and I'm just going to cut straight across the whole thing. So I'll set that one aside for another one. Okay, so here's my piece. And I'm going to drape it like so. So now that I've committed to cutting it, I'm going to cut a little tiny hole out of the top. And I'm going to put that through here. So I should be able to just drape this right from a tree or something. Okay, now obviously it's not showing this part at all yet. There's the dog again. 1 second. So many things that keep me from actually making a nice short video. So the other thing I'm going to do involves I'm going to take some white thread. Now unfortunately my other pin or my other needle is in the midst of a project. I'll show you. I don't know if you watched the video about beading. I did a video about beading. And this is one of the finished beaded pieces. And I'm in the process of sewing it onto this nice soft black toque. And that's where my normal needle is attached to this. So unfortunately I'm going to have to use my beading needle, which I just set down and lost. But I think it's going to look really cool. So that's why I can't use the right needle. So we have a beading needle, which is very long, very thin. And that means I have to use beading thread, also very long and very thin. And the idea is I'm just going to tack the material onto the frame just enough that it'll stay where it needs to. This is the hardest thing to try and thread because it's so tiny. And I don't have my glasses on. very silly of me. I'm probably going to have to go get my glasses to do this part. I also have, you can't see it, but I found out last time I did a video that my house is really dark. We came when we bought the house, and it was just freshly built. And they suggested that we go out and we put all these LED lights in to save energy costs, right? So we went out and we bought all our light bulbs and everything and LED lights. And it was so blooming dark, we couldn't see anything. We had to actually take them back out and go get normal light bulbs just so that we could see. I mean, it's great that they save energy and everything, but you still have to be able to see what you're doing. You can't read a book if you can't bloom and see it or anything. So it's still, I find it still very dim in here when I'm crafting. So the point to my rambling is that I have a desk lamp pointed at me right now to try and make it so that it's easier for you to see what I'm doing. And it's kind of hard to see what I'm, look at bright light shining in my eye and I'm trying to see this itty bitty hole in this itty bitty needle. It's driving me crazy. Alright, so I've got my thread finally, and I've got it knotted. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to hold it down where I want it. And I don't care if you can see the knot, because this is all going to happen in the dark. So nobody's going to see anything. I'm just going to figure out how I can hang on to it properly. And I'm just going to tack over top of the wire a few times. And again, I'm not worried about it looking pretty because it's not going to be seen in the daylight, it's going to be seen at nighttime. At least my thread matches, so I mean it's not, if I was doing this with like bright purple thread or something, it would look horrendous. So here's what's happening, if you can see it. It is just going to follow the shape of the wire, like so. And I'm only going to go as far as here because I want it to hang after that point so that it drapes like a ghost. So I'm going to knot this once or twice just to keep it in place. And so you can see the difference. On this side, obviously it's not forming to the shape at all. On this side, now it is. So once I get it done, I'm not going to put you through the pain of watching me try and thread that needle again. You can understand what it's going to look like. It's going to look like this. And this, because it's see-through and there's going to be light shining out there with my fancy new strobe light that I bought, it should look pretty cool hanging from the trees. And I have enough fabric to make 2 more. So I'm going to have 3 funky little ghosty dudes hanging off my trees. Along with, hopefully, balloon ghosties, spiders attached to the walls, and funky eyeballs. Plus my window frames with my little silhouette in it. So I think it's going to be a pretty cool Halloween, and as you can see, most of this stuff cost me 20 bucks or less. There will be other decorations, like I said, that I bought because I ran, my kit disappeared. I don't know where my Halloween kit that I used to have is. So in order to fill in, I did buy a few things, and I put pictures of those on the blog post so that you can see what all the elements are going to be. And then when Halloween comes around, I'm going to set the whole thing up and take another photo so that you can see. But for the most part, you can do a lot of Halloween decorations with very little money. It just takes a little bit of time and a little bit of ingenuity to work out the best way to do something that will show up well at night. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to look like it's, done by a professional. It has to show up well at night. So things that glow in the dark, things that will shimmer when they're shined on are great. Or things that give you silhouettes, because silhouettes can be pretty cool too. So that's my post for today. I know it's longer than it should have been again. I'll blame Tonka the dog. And have a good day. Happy crafting. And I will see you next time when I do a video on carving pumpkins. See ya.